Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Son of a bitch. Welcome to the 2 Decades Too Late podcast, everyone. I'm Brad, hanging out with Josh.
What's up?
This is the podcast where we review albums that are turning 20 years old, mostly metal for whatever it's worth. Not today.
Not today.
No. But we rate it. We rate the albums based on 4 parameters. We can give each parameter 1 through 5 from each of us. So a total of 20 points up for grabs from Josh and I individually. A total of 40 points up for grabs for the album overall. One day, I will remember an actual way to say all of that without it being different every single time that I say it. That probably not.
I'm not looking forward to that. Yeah.
No,
variety is the spice of life. And the spice must flow.
You know what's funny? Despite that being a Dune reference, when I hear it, I think of Good Eats.
Oh, absolutely. Like, Dawkins really has to lay off the sci-fi.
Yeah. Yes. Perfect. What is that, the Punch episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feeling punchy.
Yep. What a great episode. Season 11?
Yeah.
12.
We're not doing metal today. We're reviewing episodes of Good Eats on two decades.
Let me tell you something. This podcast takes up a lot of time, and sometimes I'm like, I'm tired and don't want to edit this fucking thing, but I would take on a second podcast if it meant we were reviewing Good Eats episodes.
All right.
Because I'm already watching it. What
Yeah.
else am I doing? I'm still just watching Good Eats. That's all I've done since 1999. So what's the difference?
Yeah.
Anyway, watch Good Eats.
Do it.
After you listen to this, hopefully.
Yep.
Well, but we've got you in 60 seconds at this point, right?
Oh,
Probably.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably people would have stuck around if we told them what we were reviewing today.
You know what? Probably. And what we are reviewing is, I think, something that should be massively huge, and maybe it was at the time. I mean, I know they played it live and the crowd is nuts.
Yeah.
But, like, everyone I've kind of talked to doesn't really know what this is.
That's bonkers. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200.
It's crazy.
It's double
it's not
platinum.
crazy, actually. Yeah. Which is not surprising at all. It is Collision Course, an EP that was put out by Jay-Z and Linkin Park. Which I don't know what 2 artists sum up 2004 better than this duo.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen, I am not into rapper hip hop really. I mean, it's very hit and miss. I like some things very much. I was pretty into Wu-Tang Clan, Method Man, Solids, older stuff. I haven't followed it since probably prior to 2004.
Right.
But this is so fucking good.
It is. It really is. It is so much fun. And fun is the word that everybody who liked it uses to describe it. Like Mike Shinoda said, like in a liner, like it was just so much fun. Like people just had fun doing this, and it's fun to listen to.
Yeah, and honestly, so last week's episode, Behemoth Demigod, I didn't bring up ratings or review ratings with you like we normally talk about, just because when I saw all of them, they were all like, this is good. And that was it. There were no ebbs and flows at all. Everyone universally loved it. This is not the case with this thing.
No.
And it's
generally
weird
mixed reviews. And I get it. Like, so if you can do me a favor and pull up the tab for today's episode in like the albums spreadsheet.
2004 albums, yeah.
So AllMusic gave it 3.5 out of 5. User and reviewer rating both 3.5 out of 5. They said, it's awesomely fun, and it totally is. The Guardian gave it a 1 out of 5. But
Jesus.
To be fair, when you read that, it's like the guy who wrote it, first of all, his name's Dorian Linsky. And none of you can see this, but Brad can see the picture of the guy. He looks like a guy who's never enjoyed anything in his life and has definitely never satisfied a romantic partner.
No, he looks like the one person in the world that has never liked pizza.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what kind it is. He's never enjoyed a bite of pizza.
No, he's never enjoyed anything in his life. So, and when you read his review, it's like, oh my God, you clearly are allergic to fun.
And this fucking guy, Jesus.
Yeah. So I get where he's coming from.
I guess, but what do you want? Like, yeah. I don't know. This
totally could have been like a shameless cash grab on the part of MTV, but the fact that the two artists had a good time doing it and genuinely like cared about the end product makes it so much not that. Like, you can't even knock the album because of that.
Well, no, and the MTV part didn't go hand in hand with recording an album. It just went hand in hand with doing a live show. So the fact that they enjoyed that idea so much that they decided to get together and re-record everything. I mean, like, this isn't just samples.
Right.
Like, Jay-Z re-recorded all of the lines on this album. Linkin Park re-recorded all of the music that they play. Chester same with both vocalists from Linkin Park. And you can tell, like, when you get to track 3, I will say, I don't love being a white guy on a podcast saying the name of track 3, but I guess it's probably fine.
It's probably fine.
But just know that I'm saying that before I say it for anyone who may be bothered. I'm not trying to bother anyone, and I'm glad that they changed it from what it certainly was called to what it is called, because then I couldn't. But Jigga with a J, hard J, what / faint.
Hard J. That's funny.
Yeah, but that song, like, you can hear Chester, like, his screams on that are different, because Faint's my favorite Linkin Park song of all time.
It's so good.
And I know the difference. Like, I've listened to it 10 trillion times, and I was just impressed that they were all willing to get together just from like you said, it could have been a cash grab, but then they decided, fuck it, let's go in and let's, like, re-record this thing. This is fun.
Yeah.
We work well together, all that stuff. I mean, and more props to Jay-Z for being like, hell yeah, that sounds great, because I wouldn't have guessed Jay-Z in 2004 to be open to do this. But he did. And you can hear the fun they had on the album if you listen to it. It's palpable.
Yeah. I ordered a Frappuccino. Where's my fucking Frappuccino? Great way to start an album.
Yeah. So good.
And you are correct. It was not originally Gigawatt.
No, I know. Yep. Yep. And I'm not going to be the one to screw that up today.
But so talking about these two artists, both were definitely huge.
Yes.
In 2004, Jay-Z had been huge for a long time. So he had 8 prior releases to this. He'd been doing his thing since 1986. Linkin Park, surprisingly, 1996 is when they formed. They're 2 albums before this, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, both huge.
Gigantic, yeah.
Actually, both artists released an album in 2003, so definitely still relevant. Definitely both on TRL. So
all over the place, everywhere. I mean, you couldn't turn on a radio. You couldn't walk into a department store. You couldn't.
Jay-Z actually topped the top 10. Well, actually, Beyonce did with Jay-Z in 2003 on TRL. So definitely still relevant at the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, and hard not to do if you're Jay-Z, because he released an album every year from 1997 through 2003. Every single year.
And counting this one through 2004.
True enough. And active since 86, but really he didn't release his first song until 1995. That's kind of where I start that a little bit.
That's fair.
But I mean, he was on other people's stuff in the late 80s and early 90s. So he was definitely out there getting exposure. But I think as far as Jay-Z proper, I would say 1995, he released a song called In My Lifetime. That was like his first solo thing.
Yeah.
But just prolific. I mean, to release an album every year for that long is insane.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. And then...
It's outrageous.
And also with his albums, I was hoping for... There seemed to be themes, right? At least here and there, like the volume, quote unquote, albums.
Oh yeah.
I can't find a line at all. I tried for hours yesterday.
Oh really?
There's no one talking about it. I looked at the production notes and everything. He works with, I mean, it's a hip hop artist. Every album there's like 19 producers.
Yeah.
But I couldn't even find a hard line between in that way. I mean, there was just no seemingly... I mean, for him, Jay-Z's weird, man. It's hard to find influences on the guy. His only actual statement on the topic was basically saying that he grew up listening to soul music like Marvin Gaye and Donny Hathaway. He seems to be influenced by the whole East Coast hip-hop scene of the early 90s. He seems to be a pretty big lover of... Yeah, from Notorious B.I.G. seems to be an influence, but he doesn't say that. I can't... The dude just doesn't talk about it, apparently. And honestly, he doesn't seem to talk about much.
First rule of Fight Club.
I mean, almost weirdly,
Seems like a private person.
Yeah, so I was trying to find... We talked about this yesterday. I was trying to find lines between both artists, and turns out it's very difficult to do. Just because Jay-Z doesn't talk, like, seemingly. But as far as the Blueprint albums, it's a little loosey-goosey, but the only line I could really draw between them is the fact that Kanye West's first production credit was on the first one in 2001, the Blueprint. And he was a producer on all of the Blueprint albums.
Oh, nice.
So there's a little bit of a line to draw there, but I don't know. I guess metal teaches you that there is a theme for stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's like a narrative, and here, not so much. Just
whatever pops into your head.
Yeah.
So this album kind of came about because mashups were kind of becoming a thing. So, like one of the reviews I was reading was like, I think it was the All Music review actually. It was like, this sort of thing used to be kind of relegated to internet nerd basements, where people just had time to sit down and throw like Christina Aguilera over some death metal, and it was hilarious. But then I guess kind of all credit kind of goes to Danger Mouse, his release of the Gray album.
Yeah.
Which he mashed up the Black album from Jay-Z and the White album from the Beatles.
Yeah.
So people were like, oh, this could be a fun thing. Turns out it is.
It's a whole thing, by the way. Omnibus did a whole episode on the Gray album.
Oh, shit.
Because it was just a big thing in the industry. People were not happy about that. Because it is problematic from a copyright point of view. Sure. But it's funny because it didn't really seem like the artist gave a shit. It was just everybody else that cared. Of course, if you're Jay-Z and you're the Beatles, what do you need? An extra like 10 grand in your pocket? Fuck no.
Well, the Beatles at that time didn't have the rights to their own songs. Michael Jackson still owned them.
Oh, right. I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. Totally.
What an eccentric.
It was such a big deal.
Problematic human being.
Yeah. It was such a big deal when they could be on like Apple Music because he died.
That's right.
And they got their rights back.
God, that's nuts.
That was a crazy time.
What a psychopath. Anyway.
Yep.
We can't like anybody anymore. Like I'm to that point now. Like I'm just gonna assume everyone.
Won't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to get let down like 20 years later. Like, oh man, I really liked that guy.
Exactly. And it used to be like, don't meet your idols. Now it's like, don't like anyone famous. Just don't even, has nothing to do with meeting them and them letting you down. Don't worry. Later in life, you'll find out they did something terrible.
Literal skeletons in the closet, usually.
Literal. In the case of, well,
the Elephant Man's bones. Yeah.
God, that's weird. But yeah, and this goes back with the whole like Public Enemy, Anthrax, Bring the Noise was pretty sick. Aerosmith, Run DMC did it.
Yeah.
And those are real small scale versions of collaborations between vastly different musical genres. Yep. And I'm glad it got so normalized, because it should be.
Yeah. Music is like, it's like an expressive art form. Like, there should be collaboration in it regardless of what the genre is. You're both trying to usually achieve the same things, move somebody in some way, reach somebody in some way, and I think we talked about it a little bit when we were deciding, if this should be a jam session or a full length episode. Like, hip hop and rap culture definitely was permeating the metal scene. Like, if you look at the people that were kind of around, especially into the hardcore, like, there's not a hard line between those, in my opinion.
No, the New York hardcore scene with, go figure, I can't think of anybody right now. Like Madball and like those dudes, they grew up in the same neighborhoods. They had the same difficulties, same socioeconomical classes.
Right.
And just trying, and out of that rage, in both senses, New York hip hop scene and the New York hardcore scene rose to prominence because they had something to say that a lot of other people agreed with. They said it similarly, different approaches, but the message was pretty much the same in both groups.
Yeah, you could probably compare lyrics out of musical context, and probably have a hard time deciding which one went to which.
No, totally agree. And actually, I did look at a lot. But,
love of weed was probably, a shared commonality between some of those groups.
It depends on which side of the hardcore scene you fell on. If you fell on the Washington side of hardcore in the late 80s, early 90s, definitely not. That's a no.
Yep. Right.
No. But if you landed on the New York side, it was a little more, probably a little more that direction.
Who am I thinking of? Is it Septic Flesh? No.
What are you trying to think of?
Just a band that's, super into their love of weed.
There's Cannabis Corpse, but that's a little on
that's
the nose.
Hysterical.
They're big. Like Brandon Ellis, that's in Dahlia now, played for them for a while. Like, they're a big band. Okay. I've seen them live. Actually, I think we've seen them. They were at Slaughter. What was that fest called?
Summer Slaughter.
Summer Slaughter.
It's coming back.
Times.
This year.
Is. Man, who are you thinking? Because that now Black Dahlia Murder is an obvious choice.
That is, yeah. It'll come to me, I'm sure.
Definitely not Septic Flesh.
Definitely starts with an S, though. So that'll narrow it down.
That'll narrow it down to probably the letter that has the most death metal bands attributed to it.
Yep, super good.
But yeah, anyway. You can draw. There is no hard line between the two worlds. Not really. Again, the musical approach being incredibly different, but the culture, the things they went through, no, it was really similar. Now, where Linkin Park comes in on that, I'm not so sure. Just because they seem to have as far as I can tell, they seemingly started, which, by the way, their name was Zero with an X. I'm so glad they changed that name. It's so bad.
It is
so bad. That's bad. They formed in 96 as Zero. Though they opened for System of a Down that same year at Whiskey A Go-Go. That's a pretty big deal.
That's pretty sick.
They tried to get a record deal. Vice president of A&R basically said, I'm not going to sign you because you need a better singer, a better vocalist. Because Chester wasn't in the band at the time. That caused a bunch of shit in the band. The vocalist ended up leaving because of it. In 99, Chester joined the band. Based on this guy's recommendation, by the way. This A&R guy, what was this? Jeff Blue.
He sounds sad.
Yeah. Yes, he does. He is Blue Dabba Diba. But it seems like this guy is, I mean, I've never heard of him before, but I think pretty much if not for that guy, Linkin Park would not exist.
Oh.
So
Thank
good on him.
Guy. Yeah.
Yeah, because they changed their name from Zero to Hybrid Theory in 99.
Which cool.
Yep. And then the label took them on and they said, you need to change your name because there's a band called Hybrid that was pretty big from Britain, an electronic band. Changed it to Linkin Park. They wanted to change it to actual Linkin Park, Lincoln, but they couldn't. They wanted to have an internet domain.
Oh, yeah.
That's why they landed on Lincoln, Linkin. So that's kind of cool. Just to get which that's a good reason in 1999.
Yeah.
But yeah, then 2000 released Hybrid Theory, and their career as far as releases does intertwine with Jay-Z's career in a strange way.
Yeah.
Albums in 03, 07, 10, 12, 14, 17. And Jay-Z's last album also being in 2017, also having a release in 13 between a couple of Linkin Park releases. So they were basically, I mean, they followed their career path, followed the pretty much same trajectory.
Always in the public eye.
Yep. Yeah. Which, of course, after 2017, no more Linkin Park because sadly Chester Bennington passed away. But
so, and you could I guess you can call Linkin Park rap metal. I personally wouldn't. I don't think of them as rap metal, but
I do think of the Hybrid Theory as a new metal, rap metal, whatever we're gonna go with album. A lot of rap from Shinoda on that one.
Yeah.
And honestly, later albums were actually more rap than metal. And then they would kind of go back and forth a little bit. Like, I want to say it was their Living Things maybe album that is like 80% rap. I mean, it's just almost straight up a rap album.
Sick.
Yeah.
So, the two worlds definitely influence each other.
No, for sure. And, well, MTV knew what they were doing to even suggest this matchup. So
they actually, I forget which way. I think they approached Jay-Z first, and he got to pick the artist that he worked with.
Yep, for sure. Which is even cooler.
Yeah.
Like, that's just so rad. I couldn't. I mean, because Jay-Z is not just a big deal. We will never talk about an artist like Jay-Z. This is the one time we'll talk about an artist like that. He's not just when you're a billionaire,
we can talk about like big deals within the context of the genres we're talking about, but they can't even hold a candle to Jay-Z.
No, like Behemoth is a really big metal band, like
in an entire country.
Yeah, like they sell out everywhere they go, hundreds of thousands of people, and they are still not even sniffing how big Jay-Z is. Not that anyone listening to this needs that pointed out, but it is just worth noting that when we talk about someone being big, we're generally meaning in the gravity of what we are into. This is not that. This is just a gigantic... And Linkin Park too, by the way. Just Jay-Z is even... Linkin Park is massive. Jay-Z is...
Supermassive black hole.
Yeah. Also, this has come up one other time. I think sadly it's probably going to come up a decent amount given the culture of things that we listen to and talk about. But if anyone needs help out there, 988 is the suicide and crisis lifeline. So please, take care of yourselves, because this is another person that I think the world would be better for having in it. And we don't anymore. So anyway, I don't want to derail things too much. Just know there are ways to get help out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And thank God they changed that number too.
I know. It shouldn't be hard. The last thing you want to do in a moment of deciding whether you're going to live or die is go, now, what is that fucking...
Yeah.
No, it's 988. So yeah, if you need help, please reach out. Not a lot to talk about probably with the track breakdown, if nothing else, because it's only 6 tracks long.
Yeah,
it's
which is too bad.
21. Yeah, it is. It's a 21-minute long album. So guys, if you like any part of these two artists, you got no reason not to check it out. I mean, you'll knock it out in almost the same time it would take to watch an episode of Good Eats.
Yeah,
funny enough.
We're gonna talk about it for longer than it takes to listen to.
For sure, I think we probably already have.
Yeah. But just like you said though, like everything's kind of newly done, newly mashed together by the artists themselves. A lot of it credited to Mike Shinoda in particular.
Yep.
But starts off great. Starts off with I ordered a Frappuccino. Where's my fucking Frappuccino?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's such a cool way. And honestly, track 1 could be the best on the album if for no other reason, because it starts like that and ends with Jay-Z yelling the word bitch.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a waste of your talents, Randy.
Yep. So good.
I don't know who the fuck Randy is.
I don't either. I looked. I don't know who Randy is. I can't find Randy.
If you're out there, Randy, and you hear this, let us know who you are.
Yeah. We'd give you whatever credit it means to be called out on this. But yeah, track 1 is a mashup of Dirt Off Your Shoulder and Lying From You, Jay-Z being the former, Linkin Park being the latter.
Yeah. It's important, I think, to say that a lot of it goes, because, you could think like, oh, they just segment these songs and like mash the songs together. But most of the time it's Jay-Z rap his lyrics over top of Linkin Park music or vice versa. So I think that was a cool direction that they took.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad they re-recorded it. And again, this can't be overstated. This isn't a situation where they just took their two music, took their songs and put them together. Like literally it is, like Josh said, Jay-Z rapping over the song Lying From You by Linkin Park, or, Shinoda or Chester singing over, Encore or whatever it is. It's just so well done. Again, it's just a fun fucking thing to listen to.
It is fun. Aren't you sharp as a tack? Yep.
Nice. Yeah. I think one of the maybe things that makes it even better for me is that when you start off with Jay-Z, rapping over Lying From You, not start off, but you start off, you're thinking it's going to be Linkin Park heavy, and then Jay-Z starts rapping over it. I think that's really impactful.
Yeah.
And then when you get through a lot of that, and all of a sudden Linkin Park comes in screaming, it's like the duality of those two things coming and going, and the roller coaster of that makes it's almost like more impactful in this context than it even is on its own. But yeah, no, really cool.
Song selection's really great too. 3 songs from Meteora, 4 from Hybrid Theory, and then 3 songs from the Black Album, 1 from Volume 3, 1 from Volume 2, and 1 from the Blueprint. So just a great range of songs that they decided to put together. So next is Big Pimpin' and Paper Cut.
Like who knew that Paper Cut's lyrics would go so well over Big Pimpin'?
Right.
Like I wouldn't have seen that coming, but it does. I will say that's the track for me that put me right into the 2000s in my brain, like what I was doing in 2004 more than any other track. I'm like, I wasn't wearing Jinkos at the time because we had already kind of stopped doing that by the end of the 90s, but I was like, where are my Jinkos?
Those days weren't far in the rear view by any means.
No. Really good. Track 3 we already talked about. I don't know why I don't want to say it, but I don't. And I'm not gonna again.
Cool.
We crossed that bridge. I think track 3 made me realize that I think if I were to pick which side of this coin I like the most, it's Jay-Z rapping over Linkin Park tracks.
I think so.
I think is the cooler form. Not that the other side of that isn't good as well, but I do tend to think that Jay-Z's crushing it when he's rapping over Linkin Park music.
He is crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go to Numb/Encore, which won a Grammy. So, like...
Did it really?
Yeah, it did.
Man, that's awesome. So it's funny that you should say that, because my first note on Numb/Encore at track 4 is this one is, so far of the 4 tracks, is I think, a true collab.
Yeah.
Like, this one is just a true blend of both sides of things.
What the hell are you waiting for?
Yeah, it's so cool. It's so fucking cool hearing that in that context. And
it really is.
Man, it's so cool. Really strong. I mean, we'll talk about that, but yeah, Izzo in the end, I would say that's another one that's like a thorough collaboration and not so much a dance back and forth like the first 3 tracks are.
Yeah, and I definitely remember like Izzo coming out. Like,
yep,
it was in the atmosphere. If you were talking to people that you knew, chances are really good that somebody you knew listened to Jay-Z.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't avoid it. I mean, when did that come out? In 2001? I mean, that was prime MTV.
Yep.
TRL being the thing everyone came home from school and watched. Yep. Jay-Z being on it for pretty much the entire time it existed in one way, shape, or another. Yeah. Yep. Also, I totally forgot Foshizi was a thing.
I haven't. I still use it. It is in my lexicon.
Yeah. I laughed out loud when he said Foshizi. I was like, oh, right. 2001. Yep. Hell yeah. Can we say Foshizi? You know, it doesn't matter. Let me just move past it.
Yeah.
And then final track, track 6, Points of Authority /99 Problems /One Step Closer. It's a lot of slashes.
It is.
It's 99 Problems is my favorite Jay-Z song, as it is probably literally millions of other people in the planet.
Yeah.
I almost think, actually, I actually put this out to ask you, do you think them coming back to the shut up part from One Step Closer detracted from this song at all?
I didn't notice it detracting, but I don't think it adds a whole lot. Like, of all of these, that one felt like the most we have to get it in there.
That's exactly like, and you do, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not arguing that it has to be there. That was the song that made Linkin Park. I mean,
right.
That's the one that was it. That was the, yeah. I would say some would argue the apotheosis of them as a band, because it's like they never sounded like that again. Not really. I liked the second album probably more than even Hybrid Theory, but I mean, you know, Hybrid Theory was a gift, in the year that it came out, and my family drove to Florida. I listened to it the entire time.
I remember
on my Walkman. Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, I loved it, but so they had to do it, but I did think when it happened that it seemed a little forced.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have found a better way, like even to have it sampled in the background or something.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm being really ticky-tacky, but when something's only 20 minutes long and 6 songs, I can be ticky-tacky.
For sure. Pedantic. Yes, shallow and pedantic.
You know what? I don't get to be called pedantic a lot, because I don't even know if I know how to use that correctly.
This meatloaf tastes awfully shallow and pedantic.
Does everyone get that one? Because I barely do. Do you have anything to add to the tracks, or have we kind of crossed everything you wanted to? I mean,
yeah, we've hit just about it. I guess for the sake of doing it, we should give props to the rest of the band, Linkin Park. Chester Bennington obviously on the vocals, Mike Shinoda obviously on the vocals, Brad Delson on guitar, Dave Farrell on bass guitar, Joseph Hahn on the turntables, sampling, programming, and Rob Borden on drums. So all totally contributed to this. Isn't like the Mike Shinoda show, although
Right.
he did produce it, with some guy named Sean Carter, whoever the fuck that is. But
I really wish it wasn't. I wish his name was Randy.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I just wanted someone to be named Randy that got some sort of liner note, but no such luck.
Sean Carter is Jay-Z. I hope you caught that. Okay.
Yes, I did. I just figured I would let your joke sit for someone to be mad about.
Thanks, man.
Actually,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we could list Jay-Z producers, but we would actually be here for the next 17 hours.
It was really funny, though, seeing, like, on the wiki page, Sean Carter being listed as lead vocals for Jay-Z.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about that. That's very odd.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But, he is.
All right.
Yep.
That is true. And you know what? We're going to get to the review.
I don't know. But what'd you think of the album art?
Yeah, that is part of it, huh? I don't know if it could be anything else for the time and for the situation and what it is. It honestly represents. Man, I went down there and I don't even know if that thing knew how to represent anything. But like,
what the hell y'all doing over there?
What's that? Is that Between the Buried and Me?
Yeah, it is for sure.
Awesome. But I think it. I mean, I landed on a 4. It's kind of. It looks like that was an MTV decision because it probably was.
Right.
More than the artist, but
yeah.
I think it kind of weirdly represents. New York a little, kind of city, sort of. I don't know. I liked it. I gave it a 4.
Okay. All right. I see your 4 justification. I gave it a 1.
Fantastic.
I hate it. I think it does nothing for the individual artists that contributed to the album. Like you said, it is definitely very obviously an MTV. The album cover definitely felt the most cash grabby. Very MTV.
Fair.
Very it's more Limp Bizkit than anything, in my opinion. Like, I could see this being a legitimate Limp Bizkit album cover and not being upset about it. But this is Jay-Z and Linkin Park. The only clue that you have of that through the album cover is the fact that their names are on it.
Man, that's true.
So
that is true.
I mean, as a graphic, yes, it's very of the time, and it's a well put together graphic, I suppose. I hate it as an album cover for what this album is.
Fair enough.
They didn't even try and mash the two names. Like, it doesn't even say mashup. It's just dumb. I hate it.
You almost you did talk me into a 3, but I'm gonna leave it as a 4.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
I already said it. But yeah, you're kind of right. The more you know what, I'm not gonna look at it anymore. What did you think of this? This one's a little obvious, right?
Yeah.
The production. I mean, it's just
right. It's a 5,
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because it. Again, we've brought this up a couple times. When you have unlimited funds,
it's Mike Shinoda and Jay-Z. Like, it's going to be perfect, even if it was just one or the other.
Right.
But the fact that they worked well together is actually a little bit incredible when you have two producers that are, that
prolific
strong.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, but yeah,
there's nothing to say. It's a 5 all day from both of us. It's gonna sound great for the next 30 years,
if not longer. Yeah. I don't even know what in production could change to make it age. Like, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
I'm excited for whenever that happens, but I'll probably be dead.
What'll really happen is we'll get like 30 years and it'll be cool again to record everything like it sounds in 1970, and I will scream at walls for hours a day.
Those kids can get the fuck off our lawn.
Yeah, I hate it. Like that new death metal thing, I fucking hate it. Anyway,
Impact at the time?
Yeah, one, I didn't even hear it until you showed me when we went to a show in Cleveland.
Okay.
Probably it was like you, Jordan, and I.
Okay.
Went to a show in Cleveland, and we listened to it in the car. And someone else, maybe I don't know. Maybe Evan. Maybe it was that long ago. I don't know, but yeah. Until and did it impact me? No, because I mean, like, hip hop and rock / metal overlapping and collaborating wasn't like a
right.
I mean, this was a big deal at the time, but I mean, since the mid '90s when nu metal started, it was kind of like a thing that did happen.
That's fair.
But so yeah, 1.
Sick. I gave it a 3. So let's see. Mostly because of just these two bands and the two genres that they represent. Like, those were definitely shaping the scene of 2004 and the time around us. And, like,
true.
Maybe for me, even a little bit. I don't think it had a whole lot of effect on our sound or our writing, but the fact that, like, music could be a little fun and you could do some weird stuff, that probably filtered in to some degree too. So yeah, I gave it a solid mid-grade. Yeah,
that's fair. I don't disagree with any of that. Well, enjoyed listening today. I'll just get mine over with very quickly and say a 5 because I just it's a blast.
It is an absolute blast. It's always a blast. It's never not fun to listen to. I do wish it was longer, not a ton longer.
No, but it's close.
Yeah, it's a 5 for me all the way, always. It's
I mean, I understand there's some people like that are super into like the extreme metal side of things that are probably never going to find enjoyment in this, and I get it. I don't even mean that in a bad way. But outside of that, and I don't consider myself like to have a broad musical spectrum at all. I don't. Not even a little bit. But this is one of the very few things that really gets in there. But it's just so much fun.
It is. So Dorian Linsky, you can suck it.
Yeah, no shit, man. Seriously, enjoy some. Just go out and live your life.
He won't. He's not gonna. Smug asshole.
Oh, now I have to go watch the Knife Guy on YouTube. Come on, live your life with this thing.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Yeah.
So what's that bring us to overall?
What does that mean to play us out? Like to
end the show?
To end no, I'm just kidding. So we've got a 15 from me and a 14 from Josh. How is that even? Album art. Got it. Yeah. I was gonna say that seems wrong, but
I hate it.
I mean,
it sucks.
Fair.
Because the album's so good.
With an overall rating of 29, so it's up there. That's one of the stronger ones. What is your favorite song? This one was a little difficult just because they're all just good.
They are good. Yeah, and there's different things to like about each of them. I think I finally landed on Numb/Encore. With the last song, Points of Authority, 99 Problems, One Step Closer being a close second, I think. But like at different times of the day, they could all be your favorite song, depending on how you're feeling. But for me, Numb/Encore. What about you?
Track 6, Points of Authority, 99 Problems, One Step Closer. I will say the only thing, I mean, it was really, really close between that and track 3 for me, because I think the like having the heavy part in track 3 was better than having the heavy part in track 6. But 99 Problems just comes so strong, and like they found the one line written by Jay-Z that doesn't have the N-word that Mike Shinoda could rap. Right. And I thought that was really cool. So the fact that Mike Shinoda got to rap with Jay-Z, I think that's cool as fuck.
It is.
So track 6 for me.
Sick.
And I will add those to the playlist because we have a playlist, everybody.
What's it called?
It is called TDTL for 2 Decades Too Late. Space favorite songs. Again, I don't have to search it. It's my playlist. So just in case you do, and it is on Spotify.
Thank you.
Which I don't know if Spotify's clearly the biggest one, so that's why I landed on that, and it's the one I pay for.
Yeah.
Do I pay for that? I don't know.
If you're gonna make playlists, that's the place you do it.
Yeah. If you want to check us out on social media, you can on Instagram, TDTL_podcast. That is the only social media we have, and I'm barely keeping up on that. So, sorry, Twitter/X people. It's probably never going to happen, despite how good of an idea it probably is for our marketing purposes. But
yeah. Once we have made enough money to hire somebody else to take care of that for us, you will find us on X.
Yep. Maybe it's even a thing by then. Who knows?
Let's hope not.
Between that and TikTok are probably both things that will implode sooner rather than later, which is good for everybody.
Yeah. Not YouTube, though. Edutainment.
Nope. Love it. And they have my algorithm so down over the last 20 years. It's like, you know what? I do want to watch someone marinate a steak in garlic butter for 17 days.
Yeah.
And see what happens.
I'm going to go check that out.
Yeah.
And with that, you've been Brad. I've been Josh. And as always, we are 2 decades too late.